Hello and welcome to this tutorial for solo play on Judge Dredd Helter Skelter using the Dark Judges expansion pack, both of which are by Osprey Games. And in this video I'm going to try and teach you how to play it, solo play, and also I'll be running the game so you'll see it in action. So hopefully this will give you a good idea of what to expect if you're thinking of buying it. So just having a look at the components, obviously I've got the main set here and I've got the, as I mentioned, the Dark Judges expansion which allows you to play solo play rules, and I've also got the rulebooks to hand just so I can refer to them if I need to, particularly for when we get into the actions. I'll explain that as we go in. Obviously got the board here, which as I mentioned in the unboxing video, really nice board with its two blocks, neighbouring blocks are linked to each other, and basically this is where all the action's going to take place. Off to the side here's where all my kind of components are. So I've got the map cards, which we'll get into in a second. I've got some reference cards. These are the solo play, it's a solo play reference card, and I've got some little summary cards here which are helpful. These are actually quite helpful. I didn't really mention this in the unboxing video because it tells you, how many of each type of action each of the characters have got, so it's actually quite important. It's quite useful to know that. I've also got my little fragments of reality, they call them, these little counters. These are what you're looking for in the game. In the solo play mode you're going to get some extra points for killing Dark Judges, but again we'll get into that in just a second. These are the decks, so these are basically where all the action cards come from, and they tell you what you can do. These little icons here, again I'll explain in just a few moments. So that's one deck, and the other deck is the Dark Judges deck, and it tells you, again we'll get into this in a minute or two, what they're doing in their turn. I've also got all the cards set up, and the energy, these little small counters, really, I suppose. I don't know what you want to call them, but yeah, they're basically for measuring the health of each of our heroes, as it were. So you get Judge Giant, who has 3, and so yeah, that's how you tell how much health they are. They start off with the number at the top there, so that's 3 for Giant, 3 for Anderson, 3 for Hershey, 4 for Judge Dredd, and I did say heroes, didn't I? Mean Machine is in your team as well. Always better to be in your team than against you, I would say. So he's also got, him and Dredd have got 4 health, which is slightly better. I've also got the miniatures which come with it there. We also have the Dark Judges, so they work in exactly the same way, where you can see what health they've got, and that's how many cubes you give them. I really like the fact that they've used the ball and dart from that kind of famous centre spread. This also determines the order in which they play, which I think is really a really clever and shrewd move by Osprey, that it ties back to that artwork and the order that they act. You also notice they've got these shield tokens, and basically if they take a hit when they've got it on this side, every turn they all get flipped up to this side, and you must hit them once, inflict some damage on them before they get flipped over, and then they become vulnerable, and it's only at that point the health, now you can actually start knocking health off the Dark Judges. So they're really hard to beat. This is an extremely difficult game to win. If you're anything, well, it doesn't matter who you are, it's going to be really difficult. So if I can score a win in this, it will be, yeah, unusual, let's put it that way. It doesn't always happen. I have done it a couple of times, so it is not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but it will be difficult. So let's get into the setup. So I mentioned the map cards. The first thing you want to do is get rid of all the map cards, get these out of the deck, the ones that have this little symbol down here, which is a multiplayer, so it's for 3 players or more. So it'd be the same if you were playing a 2-player game. You remove these cards, you don't need them. These are all relate to locations on the board, but for solo play and for 2-player you don't require them. So we've got the full deck of cards here. So the first thing you're going to do is basically place your fragments of reality. These are these little counters I mentioned at the start. So you pick the ones in your own colour. I should have said, by the way, you can take any of the factions. I just happened to have went for the Judges. Just felt thematic to me to use them against the Dark Judges, but you can use the Strontium Dogs or Slaying or Nikolai Dante against the Dark Judges, any of them work. Apparently the judges, I haven't tried it out with all the different factions, but apparently the judges are the kind of best one from what I've heard online, people talking about. So anyway, we're placing these fragments of reality. So 38 is our first location, so we're looking for that. So there we go, there's one there. Next card, 30. And you basically just place these as the cards designate. The one rule about it is that you don't place, if the counters come in, if you had two numbers that were next to each other, you just draw a fresh card again. So it's 35, 24, up here. And the last one is 13, which is down this bottom corner. So that's our fragments of reality. So the object of the game mostly when you're playing it is really to collect these. I'll get into the strategy of how I would deal with it solo play wise, but basically you're trying to collect as you get a point for picking up each one, and in solo play mode you're looking to get 6 points, but you double your score at any time when you kill a Dark Judge. So, well, there you go, there's the answer. That is the tactic. Pick up 3 of these and then kill a Dark Judge and you get 6 points, and that will win you the game. Sounds simple, it isn't. It's really hard to kill those guys. So the next thing you want to do, we're not done with these map cards yet. So you're going to take the next card and we're going to place Judge Death in that. So that is 6, which is up here. So Judge Death is the first one we place. And then we're going to be placing Fire, Mortis and Fear in that order. So Fire is 31. Not really sure why they've picked that order. It's slightly odd to me because it goes against the other order, but to be honest it doesn't really matter whichever way you do it. It will pretty much work out the same. So it's 9, and that was Mortis, wasn't it? Yeah, Mortis is 9. It's the only time that order is out is in this section of the game, so yeah. I actually most of the time just do it the order that's on the cards, because as I say, it doesn't make a lot of difference. 23, this is our last Dark Judge. So there we go, we've got our Dark Judges. Just to give you a little overview, we've got Mortis here, we have Death here, Fear and Fire. Okay, so, and then last of all, we're going to get our judges. So, space 10, which is good, because it's right next to one of the fragments of reality. On the other hand, right between two Dark Judges, so I'll maybe... Judge Giant, unfortunately, seems to be the most expendable one in my team. He's the one that usually gets thrown in the mire for me. 22, so there's 22. Oh, right between another 2 Dark Judges, so that's going to be Hershey. She's my other, she's the reserve one that takes a lot of punishment. 11, which is right next to Giant, so I'm going to have to put somebody good. That's unfortunate. Okay, Mean Angel, I think it will be. What else have we got? 3 up the top there. That'll be Dredd, and 27 Anderson. So Anderson's over this corner of the board here. So yeah, first impressions, this is this is not ideal. Yeah, the judges are my judge team. What have we got here? So yeah, it's not brilliant. They're very close to Dark Judges, and they're also not as close as I would like to some of the fragments of reality. So disclaimer, I think this is going to be an uphill struggle. Anyway, so that's the setup done. Let's get into the game. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you're going to be first, which is something to be thankful for, because this is extremely difficult, as I said. So you obviously shuffle your cards. I shuffled them a bit better than that before I started here. So you start off, you get dealt 7 of these cards, and I've created a wee bit of space between the Dark Judges and my judges here, just so you can get a decent look at what I've got in the cards here. So there we go, there's my 7 cards. These symbols that are down relate to symbols that are on the cards, so they basically allow you to do actions. So you can see here Judge Giant, top left, that's his the symbol that relates to his actions. So I could only do an action with this card, which would allow him to fight, or any of these top 3, they all have giant symbol, which means he can activate. Now if you play one of these cards, you can either use the action which is linked to it, which as I mentioned there was fight, and this one it's snipe, and so on. You can also use standard actions with these, and a standard action would be you can spend one of these cards to move. So you can move from one area to the adjacent one. So for example, if I spent a card in main, a move would be that he could move to 12, 9, or over here with Dredd, there's a wall here in the way which prevents him moving through. Otherwise, normally if an adjacent square you could move through, but that's one thing to notice, a detail there. So yeah, a standard move, that would be a move action. You can also, there's a climb action, which we're not getting into because we're using this board is all the one level. There's a flip side in this, and you can go, there's high levels and low levels, which allow you to see different things. Well, basically see other people across the board if you're in a raised area. The other thing you can do is spend 3 cards with that symbol to pick up a fragment of reality, which, as I say, this is really our main goal in the game, is to get 3 of these. So that's really what it is. So I'm going to have a little look here and see what I can do. So what I'm deciding to do is that I'm going to activate Giant after mentioning them there. So I'm going to take these 3 cards. As I say, all 3 have Giant symbol at the top. So what I'm going to do with that, so I'm going to play one of the cards to move. It doesn't actually matter as long as I've got a card with that symbol. So I'm just, for argument's sake, this one allows you to basically move MD. So I'll use that for the move action. Moves onto that square, and then 3 cards, as I mentioned, they can pick up a fragment of reality. So that's good. That's a good start. Got a point on the scoreboard. So that's really, I don't really want to do anything else. I want to see what the Dark Judges are doing. So at the end of your turn, you if you've spent at least 3 cards, you can replenish 3 cards. That's the most you can get. So I am taking another 3. So I'm only down to 6 cards here. So you can burn through these cards pretty quickly. You need to do it every time you want to do anything in the game. You want to spend one of these cards. So that's my first turn done. So now we look at the Dark Judges. So again, I've shuffled the deck with the Dark Judges cards. So this is all their cards. Make sure you've got the ones that say solo game when you're playing solo. There's a different deck if you're playing them as a faction. So what happens is that when the Dark Judges go, they get to play 2 of these cards, and you then need to move the Dark Judges accordingly, and you move them. The actions are carried out in the order that they're given. So not all the time, it won't be all the time that you'll get an action on them. So you can see Fire there, Judge Fire is doing nothing. He's got nothing, so he's fine. Fear though moves and snipes, and Fear is up here. So Fear, and you always move to the closest character, and if it was a tie, say Hershey was in, let's just say she was in 19 up the top there, and Fear was, was 2 away from either one, you would move him towards the one with the lower number. That's how that works. But she's not, she's right next to him, and he is moving into the square, and he's going to snipe her. And he's taking a snipe action, which is good, because if it was a shotgun one, that would be 2 damage off of Hershey, but as it is, that takes 1. Now, I could try and counter this. First of all, I want to check, it makes a difference whether the location is like this, where it's kind of grey and blue, or like this. This is, if it's got red in it and the numbers are in black, this is a cover square. So if it was a cover square and I had, just to show you, see a little stat card here kind of sums it up as it were. Basically it's using a snipe action, and then these are the things that you can use to defend. Now you can only use that one there is if you're in cover, you can use that one. That one here just deflects, so it would be off, you know, any square, you could use that. And psychic abilities, but only Anderson's got that ability. So in this case, I would be looking for basically something with this symbol, and it would have to be, there's a couple of different options. I would be looking for it linked to Hershey's symbol, which would be this symbol, but I'm looking for this one, as I say here, that's kind of on a sphere firing off, and I don't actually have one at all, I don't think, for MD there. No, I don't. The other thing you would be looking at is at the bottom of the card. These are wild actions, and basically anybody can play them. So if I had one there and it wasn't Hershey's marker, it's a wild one, so I could have used it, but I don't have one at all, so that doesn't come into play, and that basically means Hershey loses 1 point of damage. And somehow Anderson had 4 there. She should have been a 3, she should have been a 3, so that's 1 off Hershey. So I'm not cheating, I promise. So that was only Judge Fear, he's done that. Mortis, this is slightly better for me. Mortis wants to fight, and he's got nobody to fight in that square there, so he does nothing. And it's the same for Judge Death, who's up there. He also wants to fight, but he's not in the square, it's the same everybody else. So that's the first action. Second action, we have Fire on the move, and Fire will move towards the nearest enemy, and that is poor old Giant. Fortunately, he doesn't need to move again because he's already moved. He's in the same square as a target, so he won't move any further. Fear does nothing. And Mortis is on the move, so Mortis is going to go straight for Mean Machine, goes to the closest one. That's bad news for Mean Machine, he's going to have to start losing some health every turn if he doesn't get out of there. So that's not great. And lastly, Death is fighting again, which means he's doing nothing. So yeah, all in all, that doesn't look too bad, but believe me, this stacks up pretty quickly. So back to me, back to my turn. So having a look at it here, I think I'm actually, well, first of all, I think I'm just going to leave Mean Machine to his fate. So he's going to slowly, well, depends what happens in future ones, but he loses one at the start of this turn. And that would continue happening unless I moved him off the square. However, I'm just basically going to use him to tie up Mortis for now. I think I'll move Anderson actually. So I'm going to spend, yeah, I'm just going to spend 1 card on Anderson at the moment, which will be this card. And so I'm taking a standard action, I'm not using a fight, I'm just cashing this in to get, allow Anderson to move 1 square. So I'm moving up closer to that Fragment of Reality, and I'm also going to spend another 2 cards. So again, these are kind of free cards that I can use to activate MD, and I'm going to move Giant again, and I'm going to move him 2 spaces. So he's also in the Fragment of Reality. So in theory, if I get these 2 picked up and then I kill a Dark Judge, game will be won. But again, it's not going to be that simple because I'm dealing with the cards here, and I also pick up another 3 cards. So it's just spent 3 there, and my new cards don't look particularly helpful because I really wanted ones for Anderson and Giant. I've got 1 for Giant there possibly, so this isn't boding very well. Okay, so back with the Dark Judges, it's their turn. So their first card has Fire on the move. Actually, I'll just bring that over here so we can see what's going on. So Fire is going to pursue, oh, that's good. Right, so as I just mentioned there, these 2 are equidistant. In fact, so is poor old Hershey up there. but Mean Machine has the lowest number, so Fire rather is heading off that way, which is good news. I want him away from Giant. So that was Fire. Okay, Fear has a shotgun, and I'm also kind of looking further down the card there. Death is going to start moving in a second as well. So the thing is, I could use this card. This is a wild card, so this one here at the bottom is a wild action. So I could use that to deflect the shot, but Death is going to come in and attack her anyway, so it's not really, it's just going to spend more cards that I don't want to be spending. So unfortunately, poor old Hershey is going to take a shotgun hit, and that is 2 points of damage, which basically means she is eliminated, which is a shame, because I quite like Hershey's quite a good character. That Dredd and Anderson are my favourites, although Mean Machine is actually really powerful. He gets a lot of smash attacks which cause 2 points of damage. So yeah, Mortis does nothing, he would be moving, but he is on the same square as Mean Machine, so he's not doing anything. Judge Death will move and then he will fight, but yeah, Hershey's already gone, so that means that he's going to move towards Dredd. Okay, so that's the Dark Judge's first card, and their second card, what is going to happen here. So Fire is moving on to the same square as Mean Machine. Fear is going to shotgun again, but he can only fire 2 squares and nobody is within 2 squares of him, so that's good news. That's a relief. In actual fact, if Anderson had been 1 square closer, he still couldn't fire because this is a cover square and he can't fire through cover. It blocks line of sight, so it's just a little note there. Mortis is going to attack Mean Machine. Again, I want to save these cards, so sorry Mean, you're losing another point of health, and Death is doing nothing, so that's the end of the Dark Judge's turn, so it's back to me again. Okay, I've got a couple of cards I want to get rid of here. Unfortunately, I'm not really getting any cards that are going to help me pick up these fragments, because I really need 3 with the Sai logo. I've only got 2, or 3 with the Giants logo, which is kind of weapon. So I'm going to get rid of some of these because Mean Machine's going to be history shortly. That's Hershey's card. That's not going to be any use, so I'm going to get Dredd moving here. And yeah, the same with this one as well. I think I'm just going to move all 3. I want to keep these ones back because the Psy cards are actually helpful. These are psychic attacks, which are actually very good at dealing with the Dark Judges, so I'm keep trying to hold on to them. So I'm going to move Dredd 3 spaces. So I'm using the standard actions instead of the action on the card, so he can move 1, 2, and 3. I don't want him on the same square as Fear if possible, but yeah, he's likely to come after him, so that's a turn there, and I receive another 3 cards. Now that's more like it. 3 of the 2 ones that I actually want, so let's get them placed out there. Right, that is handy. The big problem I'm going to have is that these side cards are very tempting to hold on to. So yeah, I think I'll probably use Giant to pick up the next one. Anyway, back to the Dark Judges. Fire is doing nothing. Fear is going to move to the closest target, which is Dredd, and he's going to take a shot at Dredd. And I'm not going to defend it again. I'm trying to hold on to these cards to pick up the fragments, so Dredd loses a point of health. We've got Mortis attacking, so that's another point of health of Mean Machine. And I think actually I forgot to take a point off Mean Machine at the start of that turn, so Mean Machine is now dead. So yeah, 2 of my A 5 are going. This shows you how fast the Dark Judges can really get through your team of players. Fortunately, Death is just wanting to fight and he has nobody to fight with because Dredd has made that bolt for it. So second action, and Fire is wanting to, as a shotgun, and he has nobody within to fire at, so that's good. Fear wants to fight, less good. So Dredd is going to lose another point of damage. Oh dear. Okay, and Mortis and Death are on the move, so Mortis is moving there and Death is moving there. Okay, back to me. Again, I want to try and hold on to those side cards. So I'm just going to use the 3 points to get Giant. So let's see the 3 cards here. I'll take these 3, and that way I keep back those all important side cards. And I draw another 3. So I'll still never get back up to the full 7, just because that's the problem. If you had unlimited cards, you could do this without too much trouble. And there. And sorry, yeah, I traded in those 3 giant cards there to take that fragment of reality. So I've now got 2. So 1 more, and then I can get to work. So yeah, I drew another couple of ones for Giant, which is quite good because I'd quite like to have Giant get that last bit of frag. Well, unless I can get another few more Psy ones. So I've got 1, so yeah, getting there. Okay, back to the Dark Judges. And Fire is doing nothing. Fear is on the move, except he's in the same square as Dredd, so he's doing nothing. Mortis is fighting, he's not near him. Oh dear. Death is moving and he's going to fight, so he's going to take another point off Dredd. So Dredd, oh, he's on the precipice. It's not looking good because I've got another card out here. Let's see. So you can see I probably could, for example, I could have spent that card there because that's wild. It has the fight action, and that would have negated this hit, but I'm really holding out and trying to get these last 2 and not wasting cards in defences because they just don't last. So Fire has 2 fights, but he's on his own, so that's good. Fear's on the move, he's not because he's on the same square. Mortis is on the move and fighting, so Mortis moves from 10 to 30 rather, and fights, but yeah, he's not in fighting distance. And fortunately, Death does nothing, so Dredd is still in this. Not for long, I would suspect. Okay, well, I need to spend some cards because I want some new ones back. So first of all, what I'm going to do is spend this card and move Anderson 1 square onto 24. So that's that one spent. And I'm also going to get rid of these ones with Giant because Giant's not going to be able to do much at the moment. I want to just get one of them to pick this up, so I may as well use the cards to get them moving because they're not really particularly helpful in any other way, those cards. So 2 of those cards, and I'm going to move them 2 squares. 1, 2, and so he's ready to pick one of these up. So whoever's first to give me the cards is going to get these. But as I say, I'm trying to hold back some of these cards for Anderson, so she can start trying to kill a judge. So that's quite a handy one. That's another good one. And another good. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Those are really handy cards to get. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. Okay, and back to the Dark Judges. So their first action. So Fire does nothing. Fear is going to snipe, and that will take Dredd down. Because I'm not going to defend Dredd. As you can see, it was his last cube gone, so Dredd is out of it as well. And there you go, that's Dredd there. Mortis is going to move, so he's going to move, yeah, down here. He's closer than Anderson is. And Death is going to fight, but he's going to be able to fight because Dredd is now dead. Fire's going to use an explode action, except he could only use that if it was in somebody in an adjacent space with one or more characters, so it doesn't affect anything, so he's not able to do anything. Had he done it, basically if I had several characters in one location, I suppose like the Dark Judges have just now, then everybody would be hit inside it. He could actually set it off in a space, it wouldn't affect the Dark Judges if he did that on his own team, as it were, but normally in the standard game it would affect all characters if they're all hit, even if they're on your own team. So that's what Explode does, but in this case it does nothing because Fire is not near MD. We then have Fear wanting to move, so he is going to move towards Anderson. There. And Mortis does nothing, and Death moves, so he is also moving towards Anderson, so yeah, that's a lot of trouble for Anderson coming our way. Okay, and the next one, I really don't want these guys moving again. Okay, so Fire does nothing. Fear is going to snipe, the sniper action, and that will take a point of health off Anderson. Mortis is on the move, he's heading towards Giant down here, and last of all, Death is going to attack Anderson. Oh dear. So a classic match of Anderson versus Death is coming up here. Okay, I'm going all out here. It's going to exhaust all my cards. I'm going to spend 3 cards first of all to pick up that third fragment of reality that I'm looking for. So I take that. So now all I need to do is kill a Dark Judge, and that would double, I get a point, I basically double the number of fragments of reality I've got, which would give me 6, which is what I need to win the game. So I'm then going to use, and the reason that I'm so keen on the Psi cards, that I was keeping these back, normally if you target a Dark Judge, they can make a defense, they can draw a card, and I don't know if you noticed this in the cards, they've all got these little icons. These would basically, if you fire or try to do something against the Dark Judges, this comes in, you draw one of these cards and you check and see if there's a defense, so that would rebound a bullet, as with that one. That one would rebound a bullet if you were in cover, and that one would block a fight. So they get this automatic defense, which basically means they get a free card to defend against you. You know, there are ones which they don't have a defense, but most of them do. So this is why the Psi cards are particularly important, because they can't defend against them. Now, my instinct would be to use it on Death, but he has more health than anybody else, so I'm going to try and be savvy. Fear is in Anderson's line of sight because they're in the adjacent squares to each other. So I'm basically going to spend all 3. The first one basically flips his shield, so that's the first card, and then it makes him vulnerable. And then anything after that, so another 2 of these psychic attacks, takes 2 health off him, so tantalisingly close to winning the game there. I need another 1, but it's the end of the turn, and that basically means, well, I've spent all these cards and I have none left, so I'm only going to get my 3 back. But on top of that, at the end of the turn, the shields gets put back on Fear. So this is really critical now. So what am I going to get with my 3 cards? There's a Psi, that's amazing. Oh, give me one more Psi card. Oh, it's possible, it's possible. Oh, I don't know, it depends what happens. It will be down to this card here. So let's see what's happened with the Dark Judges. So Fire moves and does an explosion. The explosion's not going to affect anything. So he does that. Oh no, Fear's going to fire. Oh no. That's a shotgun. I don't think I've got anything I can defend with? I don't. It's just gotten. Mortis, right, so Anderson, unfortunately. Yeah, 2 points of health off. That's Anderson out of the fight. So all I've got left is Judge Giant, which is not ideal because Judge Giant doesn't get many attack cards from memory. Can get some shooting ones, some fighting ones, but yeah, not wonderful at all. Mortis tries to fight. Mortis, fortunately, is a square away from Giant, so nothing happens. Death does nothing. And the next card, Fire will fire. And he does have a line of sight. It's just basically the purple here denotes a void, and you can't move on to it, but it doesn't stop him shooting. So that's going to take a point off a damage off of, yeah, nothing I can do to defend against it. Point off. Fear is on the move, and Mortis wants to fight again, but she can't do it, so Fear is on the move. Kinda good in a way. I want Fear to come towards me. Next turn, all I can really do is move Giant closer to Fear. I want him to have a line of sight. I'll actually maybe move him one, two, there. The reason being, at least I'm putting him in cover, which gives him an extra option if I get cards to defend. I don't think it's going to get that far. So that was my 2 cards for him. And what have I got? My next 3. Really need some attack cards for Giant, and I ain't getting them to. Yeah, just one to defend. That is no use to me whatsoever. I need some cards from Giant. And there's nothing I can do about this. If you have 3 cards, if you have 3 of these cards for a particular person, you can trade them in. If you were going to pick up a Fragment of Reality, I don't need a Fragment of Reality, I need Giant cards. So yeah, unfortunately Giant is at the mercy of the cards here, and everybody is on the move after him. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so Fire moves. So he moves to there, he has a line of sight, he is going to shoot because of that shoot action. I do need to try and, yeah, so you can see here this is what I was talking about earlier on the wild card. So this applies, this one down here, and he's in cover as I mentioned, so that was quite a shrewd, lucky move in my part there. So I'm going to play that, and that stops him taking the damage from that. Fear moves. He moves there, and Mortis moves. Oh dear, oh dear. No. That means he's losing a point straight off the bat. Next action, and Death is moving as well. So they're all closing in on him, and that was the first action. Second action, Fire does explode, doesn't come into play. Fear fights, doesn't come into play. Mortis does nothing, and Death moves one closer. So yeah, bad times for Giant, and he can't actually do anything. Is it better to? So he's going to lose a point of damage. Yeah, it is already game over actually, because I can't move him, and I know he's going to be dead next turn. But let's just go through the motions. So the deck is totally exhausted for the Dark Judges. So you just start again and just recycle it. And let's see what they do. Yeah, I would have got my other 3 cards, and I've also run out, so I've only got the last 2 here. One of which is a shotgun. Oh, can you believe it? So you'd have to survive. I need to recycle the rest of the deck. This could matter actually. Might get away with this here. Okay, so let's see what the last card does. Okay, not really a great help. So let's see what the Dark Judges do. Their last go. Fire is doing the explosion thing again, nothing happens with that. Fear moves closer. Mortis does nothing, which is good. Oh dear. No. Oh dear. Yeah. You basically, I'd have to have a fight action defense, which is this symbol here. I would either have to have one of those as a wild, or I would have to have one, and I don't have it. Yeah, it's only a fight. So that is it. Giant loses. Oh, so close to it so far. And that's it really. So yeah, obviously once you lose your whole team, the Dark Judges win. But look at that, I was really close to getting that win. So yeah, unfortunately the Dark Judges triumphed on this occasion, but yeah, we'll try again in the future. Maybe do a couple other videos of this. I'm not sure when I'll publish this, so there might already be a 2-player one up for this. If not, then there'll be a 2-player one coming up at some point soon. And there'll also be more episodes of Judge Dredd the miniatures game. We'll be doing more live play of that, and please keep watching it for new episodes of the Strutting Dog the Killing every fortnight. It's a great series, I really recommend it, because it really captures the flavour of the strip, because it's got all the captions and speech bubbles and all the characters. Alan, who does the game reports, knows all the characters inside out, so check those out. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any of that. And until next time, keep on living the life of Die.